All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Moonhawk Studios Presents Post-Storm Edition. I am your host, Mac Paladin, and with me in the studio is my good friend Adam.
I live again.
You live, bitch.
Yeah. Surprise, mother.
I had to say it.
Still the first 5 minutes. Hold up.
Yeah, I didn't fully curse. I didn't fully curse. I only half cursed.
I alluded.
But yeah, I'm here. Bye.
Speaking of alluding to cursing, Kevin's in his house.
I'm over here now. Hi.
Petty Fan is nominally on technicals.
I'm just a cursed humanity.
And we have the Golics.
I'm still watching the pre-roll ads. Actually, they just ended.
This week we have no guest due to the lack of certitude as to Adam's appearance, although his appearance here makes next week much more of a certitude.
Indeed.
Barring any other unforeseen circumstances.
Yep.
With that in mind, Adam, start us off with the news.
Well, yeah, the news is I not only survived the hurricane, but my place is with power now. Like,
amazingly enough.
Now with electrons.
Well, it wasn't for a few days there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and slightly more concerning is the big tree trunk that's down in the backyard. Like, which got awfully close to hitting the place, but not quite. Like, the furthest was, like the branch, the small branches were touching up on the building. Like, so no actual damage was done there. It's just there's a lot of wood that needs clearing. Quite a bit of it has already been cleared, but that's the smaller stuff that could be cut away, from the tree. It's the main body that needs to be professionally done, and it's going to be a few weeks before that can be done. Because again, big old hurricane came through, so there's a lot of people that need a tree service.
A lot of them more desperately than you two.
Among other things.
Yeah. So, kind of annoying, but not actually threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Could be much worse.
Yep.
Much worse.
So thankfully things have worked out to the point where we can do a regular broadcast.
Hooray!
Yay.
Well, that's my news. So, Kevin, over to you.
Well, I have really nothing much here as usual for me. Other than I guess fact that we're finishing up the Halloween decorations in front of our house, and I guess that's pretty much all of my news that I have. So, Petty Fan, what's going on in your world?
So I went to the Digimon tournament in the state of Iowa. I got 47th.
How many were there?
The app said there were like 56. So I wasn't last.
Oh,
I
wasn't last. That's
out
it.
of 48.
Huh?
I said out of 48.
Nah.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're not last, so hey.
Yeah, it's one of those
things.
things.
Should have got ahead of it, people.
Yeah. It's one of those things. You live, you learn. I don't know if there's going to be another one in my area, for the rest of the year. They haven't announced if they're doing any in December yet. There is going to be one next month in Wichita, but that's over a 3-hour drive one way, and I was already told no. Because this trip was basically a thank you for, fixing the plumbing issue we had downstairs that would have flooded the whole downstairs of the house. So that's pretty much the sole reason I was able to go to the Iowa regional. So, yay! The store there was actually kind of cool, except for the play area they had. The best I could describe it as it was kind of a hallway they were also using for storage. They had way too many tables back there, and they were also trying to do their locals for other card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And One Piece, and there were just way too many people packed into that space. But the actual retail area they had was pretty cool. They had like memorabilia, like from like movie memorabilia, rare toys, signed sports merchandise, just a whole bunch of fun stuff. I even procured a few items. Like I got some Beyblade stuff because I'm starting to get back into that, and I got some Christmas presents because I'm probably not going to go back there anytime soon, just because, 2.5 hour drive. So I figured might as well get some things that I can't really get in town. Like I probably could have got some of the stuff online, but what fun is that?
Of course.
And then the pool is almost taken care of. They were supposed to be here last Monday, not Monday. Let me pull out my calendar. Monday the 7th. They were supposed to be here, never showed up. Apparently, they did not put in the order for our cover until that Saturday, the 5th, when we were in there the end of September to order it.
Huh.
Yeah, not pleased about that, because we already prepaid to have the pool closed. So that was infuriating. They couldn't have even called me. Like, my dad was saying if, like, one of us had to be here and they had to take a day off work for that, he would have been livid and be banging on their door at 5 o'clock demanding our money back, because that would be just unacceptable,
Yeah.
And then, so I was like, all right, so where are you guys? I called them the next day, and they're like, oh yeah, your cover's not in yet. I was like, weird, but all right. So they'd be like, all right, truck should be here Thursday. Wait all day Thursday, never show up. I was like, okay. Somebody finally comes by last Friday, like late in the afternoon, and they came back with the wrong cover. They were supposed to, I guess they were supposed to order a 18-foot oversize, because we had like railings around the pool, and they just got a regular 18-foot. So they're going to be coming back again either tomorrow or Friday to actually put the cover on. And they better not charge us another service fee, or I'm going to be livid. Because this is their screw up. So if I get charged 2 service fees for that, we going to have a discussion,
At good point.
No, I can't say that on air.
Threats are only okay if they're not actionable.
Yeah, I mean, fair, but also let's not put that on air, especially coming from my mouth.
Right.
So yeah, that's going to be a thing. Hopefully it's fine. They just drop it off or put it on, and then we don't have to worry about it till we have to take the cover off in mid-May. And then we've had the frost starting to come. This morning it was below freezing. And because of my physical problems, cold sucks. So yeah, I've been sore all day, so that's been fun. And yeah, I think that's all I can think of. So Gulix, you got anything else? Or anything, rather?
Not a lot. I haven't been sleeping great lately, so I've been kind of tired and am kind of tired now, even though I took a little bit of a nap earlier. Not too much going on. I've been trying to make some appointments and stuff that I wasn't doing while I was looking for a car, so trying to get some medical stuff lined up and also trying to make an appointment to get the car not fixed, but touched up a bit because there were a couple of pieces that I noticed were missing a couple of days after I got it, so I've been, for the last few days, calling back and forth between the parts and service places. The guy who sold me it said it should be covered, but I need to get the two departments to, like, hear that from him or whatever, so hopefully it won't be a problem. It shouldn't be anything major. It's just there are a couple of pieces that are plastic pieces that go on the bottom of the front windshield to cover over like a bolt and some of the edge of the glass. And it's a hatchback, and the piece that the hatch open switch attaches to is a little bit loose. It's not attached firmly and may have. I've looked this up because apparently it's a not super uncommon issue. Apparently there's a couple of they're like bolts that connect in through some plastic bit. Anyway, they sometimes break off, and the end result is that it's a when you try to open it, it moves. Like the handle piece moves. Anyway, and it feels like it might break if you put too much force on it. So hopefully I'll be able to get that fixed without any trouble. I mean, if they say they can't cover it, I can get it. I can afford to have it done, I think, but I'd rather not because I have other uses for that money, even just for the car. So yeah, that's most of what's going on. Video game wise, I finished Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It's a little bit short, but that's okay. The top-down Zelda games are going to be shorter than the huge open world ones. I think it did a pretty good job of balancing a somewhat more linear story and actual dungeons with still having a good amount to go around and explore freely. And looking forward to for Splatoon 3. They did as they said they would. They've announced the Halloween seasonal Splatfest for this year. They've already released the new gear for it, which is the Halloween masks from Splatoon 2, which were pretty cool. And then that's I need to make sure I actually play some because I've been a little bit behind on that, partially due to the being tired and not sleeping well thing, but yeah. So that's, I think, about what I'm up to.
All right. Well, finally got most of this place repaired from all of the damn water damage over the last several months. It's amazing how much less musty this room smells now that I've covered up the concrete with a piece of carpet remnant. Because this room was smelling pretty bad. I had to cut out a large segment of the carpeting around the door in order to stop it from being moldy and crunchy. Between my former roommates allowing their cats to scratch under the door and ruin the fringe, and then the water damage from all of the subsequent floods through this place, the doorway was a tad messy. So I found a really nice piece of Berber in the remnant box at Family Dollar, and set this up. Also did also I'm doing kind of a reset on the a partial reset on the streaming room. The main streaming room now is pretty much going to be a wraparound where I pulled the desk out of the closet, and I'm making the closet more formally an arcade room where I have my arcade machine and the one I'm building, and a couple of those TV arcade units, the Atari Jaguar, which, I mean, let's be honest, there aren't very many games with a ton of depth on the old Jaguar. Pretty much it's the 65 to 75 or so games that came out for the system are pretty much arcade ports or arcade style games ported from the Amiga PC. And my personal collection of games kind of reflects that. So I'm going to be setting something up in the corner of the closet with the 28-inch monitor that I have to kind of facilitate that. But yeah, I moved the desk out there with the CRT monitor and the Windows XP machine that has all the old emulators and my Neo Geo. I have a rather complete Neo Geo collection of ROMs on there, including a couple that don't work. But I'm still trying to figure that one out. But I got my arcade joystick and all that stuff attached to it, and I'm just arranging the monitors and hooking up the actual. I have a little slim HP i7 computer that I'm using to actually do the capture and streaming, and it should be a pretty nice setup. And my room will feel less cluttered once I get all that set up. In the interim, I've announced this before, but I'm going to reiterate this because it merits additional mention, and that is that I have reopened the Starship Moonhawk Patreon. Now, through the Starship Moonhawk Patreon, my objective is to gain funding to advertise my different streams and shows, finish season 1 of the Lavenders. I'm gonna have to hire a voice actor to replace Varias. As well as get artwork for that, and also fund the Starship Moonhawk animations, hence the Starship Moonhawk Patreon. But a couple of people were still contributing to that. I've managed to get one more donor on that, and I'm still working on deciding what to do with the Starship Moonhawk webpage in order to entice people to actually join the Patreon. One of the big problems I've always had with blogging is, especially using it as a promotional tool, is that whenever I've tried to consistently advertise things like this show and my streams and so on and so forth through more traditional websites, it's an extremely cumbersome process. It's not like the kind of fire and forget methodology of Twitter or can't even remember the name of the stupid Instagram slash Facebook threads. I couldn't think of it. That's the word I wanted. I use it so infrequently, except to follow e-girls that and cosplayers that I just couldn't even remember the name of it. It just didn't stick in my head. But all of those different platforms have a sort of fire and forget kind of methodology to them. Even TikTok with Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. You can make text content with like animated stickers and stuff and get lots of views really fast, and then redirect people over here. So using the blog as a promotional tool has always been sort of I find that I become very low energy when I start contemplating. And we used to have, and Adam curated it very aptly for a number of years. We used to have an MSP blog, and we had quotes from former guests, and we had a quote rotator, and an upcoming schedule, and Twitter feed, and all that stuff on it. And it just, I don't know, it got to be like work, and then it broke. And every time that happens, I just become. I'm trying to think of a good word here. I become demotivated. I become crestfallen. That's a good word.
Dejected.
Dejected, yes. It takes the wind out of my sails. Any enthusiasm I had, like when I was doing little animations using Virtue and VRM Poser back when I was getting real excited about the whole VTubing thing, which now I haven't done since February because of stuff and things.
Life.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
life.
and I'm going to be brutally honest. The way that we parted ways, the way that Varias and I parted ways, really demotivated me on a lot of stuff. Like, it spurred me to action on several things, but a lot of other stuff I just became about, because I felt like I was doing it to try to cater to her audience. I still want to do the VTubing thing. I've built up sort of a rapport with the larger VTubing community. But ever since I accidentally deleted the boot partition on my failed attempt to upgrade to Windows 11 on my VTubing machine, I've put zero effort into restoring that computer. And it has a lot of stuff that's essential to a number of things. Like, it has my last active license for Clip Studio Paint. So I kind of need to get my shit together and get that working again. I just haven't had time to sit down and do it because, I got up at 9 today, and by 10 or 11, I was out on the road working. And then when I'm done with this, I'm going to be back out on the road working again, because I owe everybody and their mama. It seems like I owe everybody and their mama $400. It's like, if you could just loan me $400 to get me through until next Thursday. So car payments due on the 21st. Credit cards due on the 20th. I'm late paying back 2 close friends who helped me out last month. I owe money to Oshigun for animation work. So, indentured servitude it is. And that's not being, and I'm just telling everybody what's happening. I'm not, I want to be eminently clear here, regardless of my tone, that, I'm not defeated by this. I'm not being negative about this. I'm a little overwhelmed by how much shit has been stacked upon me all at once. And it seems like as soon as I unburden myself with one steaming pile, that 2 more get stacked on top of me. So if I sound negative, that's not really the case. I'm just plowing through executive dysfunction to try and prioritize those things that I can solve with some immediacy. I think that's the best way to put it. And I really do want to see if the algorithm on YouTube was playing with me with that last Starship Moonhawk video. I really do want to get this part up there, but I feel like it would be inappropriate for me to start working with Oshigan's artwork until I've paid him.
Oh.
So this week is all paying back my friend from San Diego and paying back Oshigan, paying Oshigan for his work. And then next week will be car payment plus get my insurance reinstated and then paying back the other benefactor. And I think that will solve it for the month. And who knows, maybe I'll actually get a head start on next month so that way I'm not late with the goddamn rent again. I'm running out of months to prove to these guys that I'm worth taking a risk on lease renewal. So yeah. Objectively, I want to improve my position on both of the Patreons, so that way I have to go out into the field less. I can spend more time working on content for you guys and less time driving the wheels off of my car, basically. Because I've already taken collateral damage to the car I just got in June. Piece of plastic flew off the back of a truck and utterly obliterated one of my fog lamps on my newly acquired Fusion Titanium. Yeah, this is a real nice car. We're talking air-conditioned leather seats. And I have a big gaping hole in the lower half of my front left bumper.
I hate leather seats. I understand that they're like quality and whatever, but they're always sticky when it's hot and they're always stiff when it's cold. Although I guess you live in Arizona, so you don't have to worry about it actually being cold.
It snows here in Tucson. But
yeah, it snows in the higher elevations. Yeah,
but it doesn't get too cold to snow.
I mean,
really high elevations. Yeah,
we've had snap freezes in the in the teens.
Right.
Anyway.
But anyway, the point being is I've already taken I'm already on a full. This is part of why I owe money to one of my friends, is because they acquired tires for me, because all of the tires on the car dry rotted and one of them was utterly destroyed by some unseen object that hit me on Euclid back in September. So really, really thrilling stuff there. And but I figure if I can get some content out there to motivate people to join the Patreon. With that in mind, and I will never charge for this kind of stuff because that would be like absurdly against my personal code. I managed to get PixAI to generate reasonable facsimiles of ship from ship in a bottle, and I've been posting some pretty hot AI art on the daily in the blog. As long as it doesn't mangle her, like there's a lot of pictures I just threw in the waste bin, but I'm not paying for it, and neither are the viewers.
Okay, but you know that like using the thing is part of the problem, right?
In what way?
It uses a large amount of energy compared to what you get out of it, and it helps them refine their models in ways that let them sell it better to other people.
Well, this one,
and it's still made out of stolen art.
This one isn't made out of stolen art. They make a point on their about page of explaining that they have purchased models from actual artists that they use to train their engine. In fact, every time I try to direct it to information externally as a test, it doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Okay.
So they have actual internal models that they purchased and modified. They're using stable diffusion, but it's a modified core, so that way it does not go externally to the internet to get scrapping information. So, I use a lot of the images I generate with this particular platform as like pose references and stuff to try to get an idea that I'm working on. I need something in front of me to look at to sometimes realize some of these ideas that I have, and playing with the prompts causes me to think more about the actual process of making art in a less abstract sense. So it's like if I can articulate it to the generator and get a borderline acceptable result that I can then turn into actually acceptable artwork. In other words, draw something from scratch, eyeballing what I get as a result from the garbage generator. um, again, I feel that the ethics here are still served if it is a tool to assist humanity as opposed to a human replacement. AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So we need to figure out how to live in this world.
That remains to be seen.
Well,
because it's a matter of how well the investment goes.
yeah. I mean, there's that too. But again,
No.
I'm very particular about how I use this particular tool. It is generally so that I can, instead of going to Google Images and simply replicating somebody else's work in some way, shape, or form, I'm trying to put out ideas that I can then use to reference myself. And then, as I've demonstrated on stream many times, I draw all of these images from scratch. There's no tracing. There's very little. I mean, somebody will get angry about anything you do. I'm sure there's always something. It's like, well, I was inspired by so and so's work. Oh, you copied them. Oh, their ideas are sacrosanct. And it's like, that's not how that works. But okay. That's not how copyright works. That's not how ideas don't come from nowhere. Unless you were the very first person to ever do a thing. Anyway, getting off track there. The point is there's daily content over there. I'm not charging anybody for it, and I'm not claiming that anything that was done. I'm not claiming that I did anything other than type words into a prompt. So that way people have some vaguely pretty pictures to look at while I'm interminably on hiatus. Oh. And I'm also intending to add some additional text and lore to the whole thing. So that way it's kind of like the image itself is almost like a non sequitur to what's being written underneath it. Anyway, moving on. Yeah. What else have we got to talk about? Since we have no guests this week, who were we supposed to have? What was originally planned for this? Before
I don't remember. It's been a week.
Did you delete it off the doc? Because I don't have the document in front of me.
I think so. Like, it was a thing that they couldn't make, and I didn't have access to files, and it happens. So
this was a cancellation anyway.
Yes.
Ah. Okay.
It's just in those cases, one can't renegotiate for another time date, and also it was early enough to see if you couldn't find a replacement. But, once again, that's the kind of thing that happens when you have a massive torrent going on around you in a literal sense. So,
Right.
like,
I had something. I had something else.
you wanted to talk about Trump and Coachella.
Yeah, you said you wanted to talk that on the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of entertainment news,
I mean, we are only about 2.5 weeks away from the election at time of broadcast. So,
Yeah.
if there was ever a time to talk about politics, it's now.
right? Let me start out with this. What prompted me to say I wanted to talk about this was because I was watching Brian Tyler Cohen on TikTok, and he was talking about this, and he was reminding us of the fact that this is not an isolated incident.
No, it's not.
Good old Donald J. Trump stranded a bunch of people. What was it, in Iowa 4 years ago?
Probably.
I think he did it in a lot of places, I think.
Yeah.
It was a very frequent thing in his last campaign, yeah.
Except for the fact that one of the most notable ones, the incident in Iowa, I think it was, he left people out in sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of elderly people who couldn't walk 3 hours to get to the parking lots. And so for some inexplicable reason, he decided to hold this rally in California at Coachella.
Well, not specifically
event.
Coachella, the city, yes.
Yeah, the city of Coachella, which is traditionally, an event all to itself.
Right. Well, specifically where this was held was I think it was like a half-mile away from where Coachella, the music festival, usually takes place, which is what everybody knows it from.
Right. And what was amazing was I saw a couple of clips of his speeches, and the whole time he was basically telling all of his followers that he was going to defund California, the state that he was trying to appeal to by holding the rally there. He was like,
I didn't know what he was going. You say that, but who the hell knows what he was trying to do with that? That's the thing about it. It's you may say he's trying to woo California, but frankly, he doesn't give a damn about California. He's not going to win California. There's no way in hell he's going to do that.
It's really weird that he dragged a bunch of his followers out into the California fucking desert. And including a lot of elderly people, and then stranded them there. That's just, I don't know who he was trying to appeal to, but he literally told them that if Gavin Newsom doesn't fall in line, that he's going to defund all of that. He's going to take away all of that wildfire money that the federal government gives to California.
Almost like he's a horrible person.
Yeah. He said we're going to fix the water. I don't know. If that isn't a metaphor for that warm yellow liquid that's falling on your leg is rain, I don't know what is.
Well, they're just going to rake the floor. You know what the bit is with them with that.
Because the only way to fix the water is to tell Nestle to get the fuck out.
I mean, the entire western United States is suffering from desertification because of
also golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's taking away a lot of the groundwater. But the point is that the droughts would still exist even if Nestle were ejected into the sun. If the entire company and all of their operations were ejected into the sun, you would still have desertification in the entire western United States
Mhm.
because of climate change, because of global warming. And they're warning that we may have already passed the tipping point on that, to where the entire United States west of the Mississippi River, assuming that there will be a Mississippi River anymore, elbow,
Mhm.
is going to be uninhabitable desert because of this. So I don't know what the fuck he thinks he's telling everybody with, oh, we're going to fix the water. How?
We're gonna make China pay for it. Bro,
Yeah,
are you high?
we're going to make China build a pipeline. It's like what do you think, you're going to bomb Canada and steal their ice?
Yeah.
Probably. Don't give
Probably.
him ideas.
If we
Don't give
nuke
him ideas.
Canada, then the melted glaciers will run down to the western United States. Problem
Yeah,
solved.
There's a
and
bunch
it'll
of
be
there's a
heavy
bunch
water.
oh there's a oh you know, there's a bunch of places in Canada that it doesn't have people in it. We could bomb that. It'd be no big deal.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
the Yukon Peninsula, you know, northern sections there. Yeah, there's not a lot of people up there. We could bomb that. It'll be okay.
well, the thing is, we don't even need to import ice from Canada. We could take it from fucking Alaska. But it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to invest in desalinization? I'm pretty sure that will piss off your billionaire friends who have told you repeatedly that that's a lost cause, because it's sunk cost fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to profit off of water extracted from the fucking ocean.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. Forget about it.
Right.
I made the hand gesture too. You just couldn't see it. So I just, it's you know, it's like Will McAvoy on Newsroom said, it's like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that this keeps happening over and over and over again and nobody questions it is the scariest indicator of cult mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I had some guy on Twitter blathering about the commies. And I'm like, my God, man, do you even know what an actual communist is? Because the Chinese ain't it.
Yeah. Well, they are communists, but they're not.
They're communist in name only. True communism can't exist.
They're communist in government.
When communism is enforced at the muzzle of a gun, it stops being communism.
That's the only way you can have communism.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, it's like, technically that's the way communism has worked from pretty much day one.
State.
Yeah.
More precisely, in the process of communism, as theorized by Marx and others, what generally tends to happen is that they get to like the first or second of like 5 to 10 stages and say, hey, I can really make a nice living here, and then just kind of stop. And then the economy either falls apart, as it did in the Soviet Union, or they go to a pretty much fully capitalist economy, but maintain the centralized government that is one of the earlier parts of the communist system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But human nature precludes full-blown communism. It can't happen because nobody is willing to give all of that up. Once they get to the second stage, they just stop because human nature gets in the way. It's an untenable system, and a lovely thought experiment. But that's it. there has never been a fully functioning communism in the entire history of humanity. It always devolves into something else. It becomes authoritarian or fascistic by nature. Because somebody's always got to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's always greedier than the rest. And somebody always figures out a loophole to exploit the system. Yes, Adam?
No, now you're getting communism and anarchism confused.
The ideal final stage of communism, again, as theorized, is a form of anarchism where everybody shares everything because they don't need it. But that is extremely reaching. In terms of people ever being willing to actually live like that.
Right. Well, that's the practical side of things. I'm talking about the philosophical things, like, Marxists have no problem with leadership. Like, I'm not exactly sure how we got on this track, though. Like,
Anyway, moving on.
to what?
To literally anything else.
Oh boy.
I got an idea.
Huh?
Well, it's fall, so that means it's a new anime season, among
There you
other
go.
seasons.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm watching the anime version of The Boys, aka Go Go Loser Ranger.
that's from a couple of seasons ago.
Isn't The Boys not an isekai?
Yeah.
Or no, I'm thinking of a different one.
Yeah,
there's more than one Sentai character doing things weird anime going on, I think.
It's the one where the Sentai villain becomes,
not a Sentai villain. That's the one where
or the Sentai mook, rather, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if one of the putties became the main character.
Yeah.
In a Power Rangers tale. I'm like, but like I said, that's from the spring season, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's certainly not a current season project.
I mean, it was the ending. Last few episodes were delayed due to production issues, so I think it recently just wrapped up. But yeah,
no, it had no production issues, or at least none that held up episodes.
Huh.
I watched the entire thing.
The one I was thinking of is apparently just called "The Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer in Another World."
Yeah, that's a isekai light novel ass title if I've ever heard one.
And it's not being animated yet, but it's gonna.
Probably.
No, it's been announced that they're gonna do one. It's just not coming out until January.
Apparently, season 2 of Go Go Loser Ranger is coming out in early 2025. So
I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that's getting a season 2, given that it got trapped onto Hulu, which is the new Netflix jail.
It is the worst streaming video platform.
I mean, technically speaking, it's the Netflix, it's the Hulu Disney Plus jail, because Hulu doesn't exist in like Europe and such, but it's a distinction without a difference.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But yeah. I'm just picking stuff at random. But anyway, tell us about the new stuff.
Well, we've got some heavy franchise hitters this season, including the last series that will ever have the touch of Akira Toriyama attached to it. in
Oh.
Dragon Ball Daima.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is another throwback to OG Dragon Ball. Like Dragon Ball without the Z.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like GT.
Right, but in this case, it's everyone being reduced to childhood.
Yep.
Not just Goku.
Yeah.
Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball babies.
Yeah.
Do we know if this is like actually any kind of canon to anything, or is this just like kind of like a fork-homa almost?
Isn't the standard for Dragon Ball now everything is canon in some time fucking line or another?
To quote Secret Galaxy, multiverse, baby.
Oh god.
Yep.
Because they pulled out the multiverse card for this.
God damn it.
I'm like,
I mean, they've been pulling out the multiverse card at least since Xenoverse 1.
Right, but it's right there in episode 1. I believe this is Universe 7.
Yeah. They called it Universe 7 in the Tournament of Power arc.
Yeah, the universe that Dragon Ball Z takes place in is universe number 7. There's always been like a multi-universe. But all of Z in the regular Dragon Ball stuff takes place in that universe. So if they're still in Universe 7, we don't know what the fuck is going on.
Well, it's the question, where does Dragon Ball GT take place?
Yeah,
that might have been
one of those weird alt timeline ones. Like, I don't know.
Well,
this is probably more of a weird alt timeline one than an actual other universe.
Yeah. The point is they have already played the multiverse card here.
Yeah.
So
it's been in play for a while, so it's not surprising its effect is coming into whatever.
Yeah.
But also, strictly speaking, it's another sequel to goddamn Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, Z, not Super?
Nope. It's like in fact, the first episode. Hi, Dragon Ball Z Buu Saga recap. Because
wow, okay, sure.
Yeah, well, because for whatever fucking reason, they decided to elevate Dabura. Why? Why did you do this?
Because he looked cool and was a chump? I don't know.
Because apparently
at this point, fuck it.
Well, yeah, that's apparently the attitude going, because they said, you know what the first guy before Boo needed? Extended family. That's apparently the rulers of the demon realm. Because
God.
I think he's already had a family member before.
Right, but they're making that the main story.
Oh Lord.
Apparently Dabura's brother has become the Demon King because, Dabura, Babidi, and Boo have all been eliminated, and that takes care of all the competition to the throne, except for, the guy who eliminated all of them. So let's get rid of him.
Right. Sure. Okay.
And also, apparently, Namekians fled to the demon realm at some point.
Sure, why not?
I'm having an aneurysm.
I mean, Piccolo became the great demon king somehow, and Kami became the god somehow.
True.
I'm like, and this is just episode 1, people.
Oh boy. And you wonder why I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole.
I'm like,
all I had to see was everybody becoming babies, and I'm like, nope.
Well, I mean,
sorry, nope. Nope.
That's one of the most inexplicable things because, Dragon Ball.
Yeah. I didn't like it in GT. I didn't like it now.
No, it remains to be seen if Western audiences, especially American audiences, actually take to this
Well,
because
and like the problem with GT is Toriyama wasn't really involved with it.
but
he was deeply involved in the creation of this before he passed away.
Yeah, that's why. Like,
That's the problem.
fair.
I mean,
Yeah,
God bless him. God rest his soul. But like, no,
Yeah.
sorry.
well, here's the thing: the United States, North America, we've never taken to original Dragon Ball.
No,
Like,
it actually
keep in
got
mind-
canceled. We took so poorly to it.
Well, no, 2 cancellations.
Yeah.
Because Harmony Gold tried to bring over Dragon Ball
Yeah.
in like 1989. There's
Yeah,
a dub.
there was a
there's
dub that
test
was
file.
produced that aired on. Yeah, it aired on TV in Philadelphia. It's on.
And-
It's on. Well, I don't think it's. I think the Internet Archive is down, but that's literally out there.
Mhm.
Somebody
And
recorded it. It aired on TV.
and it failed. Yeah, Dragon Ball
Yeah.
got a mid 90s push, and that only
Bond.
lasted. That only lasted one 13 episode season.
Yeah,
Dragon
and
Ball,
then
original Dragon Ball didn't get an actual television push until like 2002, 2003, and they
somewhere around
just,
then.
And even
Yeah,
its
no.
first shot even failed. It didn't
Yeah,
live
it
until the second push.
well,
Yeah.
it didn't fail so much as it was filler. Like,
Yeah.
the Toonami people admitted they only picked it up because they needed more Dragon Ball while
Yeah.
the Boo Saga was getting dubbed,
Yeah.
and Dragon Ball, original Dragon Ball aired on Toonami, but you'd be hard pressed for anyone to remember that.
I was talking about Z also failed on its first push. It didn't live until its second.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about, but
Fair.
Dragon Ball Z has become the standard,
Oh yeah.
especially
Yeah.
here. But the
Uh-huh.
thing is, Akira Toriyama being Akira Toriyama, he's never completely given up the comedic edge,
Yeah.
No.
which is
Fucking Dr. Slump showed up in Dragon Ball Super.
right.
Yeah.
But it's also why I think we got Dragon Ball Babies again,
Uh-huh.
because Toriyama was involved with this, and he wanted to bring back the comedy.
Yeah, and he also wanted to get that sweet nostalgia push,
Mhm.
Nostalgia. That's what it's about.
I
I'm
was like, what else do you with Goku? We can literally fist fight God.
well, once again,
No, we can't. God's too scared.
Fair.
okay, so the thing is with Daima, the nostalgia push has kind of turned into a sympathy push.
Yeah. Well,
because
originally it was meant to be nostalgia. It's now a sympathy push because, well, duh.
Yeah.
because remember, like, Dragon Ball Daima was not
It was supposed to be an
supposed to
OVA,
be,
wasn't it?
webtoon,
It was supposed to be a webtoon, yeah.
Yeah.
but
It was supposed to be an internet only thing, yeah.
because Toriyama died, it's actually getting a television run now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it got
Late night, but a television run, yeah.
it got promoted.
Mm.
I'm like, I'm not sure if that's the right word to use, but there's a lot more focus on Daima than there
Yeah.
was before Toriyama's passing.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So that obviously that's going to be one of the big ones. I'm like,
Mhm.
ditto Ramna One Half.
Mm-hmm.
The 2024 remake of Ramna One Half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm like, this is personally my most anticipated because honestly, Ramna One Half has always been my Rumiko Takahashi series. Like, that's the one I watched when I was getting into the hobby. And quite frankly, that's the cast I like. Urusei Yatsura's I've always had problems getting into that, mainly because I don't like the cast too much. Not just Ataru, the entire cast can be grating. I mean, that is an issue with Rumiko Takahashi in general, but it's so much worse when your main character is an unlikable pervert by design. I'm like, I know, and Inuyasha is Inuyasha.
Mm-hmm. I would not be shocked if in the next decade we see like Inuyasha Kai or whatever, where they cut out the filler.
I'm like,
Maybe?
that would be the most obvious choice after Ramna One Half, because keep in mind we're just coming off of the Urusei Yatsura remake, which was a bit of an odd duck, because the Urusei Yatsura remake is about a third of the size of the original series.
Yeah.
So it's a greatest hits version of that franchise. With Ramna One Half, well, the problems with the original series were arcs airing out of order, especially with season 1. A lot of what we would call filler, like especially prominent in later seasons. Flanderization abound as the series went on, large part due to not just not having having filler, but stuff that wasn't even inspired by Rumiko Takahashi's works. And the most damning thing of all, the series ended a good 3 years before the manga did. So it came nowhere near to the, quote unquote, conclusion that Ramna One Half did. I'm like, the thing is, Ramna One Half didn't have an actual conclusion because, because the romantic.
It had kind of a and the shenanigans continue.
Yeah, because the shenanigans are so entwined in Ramna One Half that even though Ramna and Akane are the main couple, it's like you're like this is kind of the harem protoform in the sense that they can't untangle the knot.
Even though literally everybody else has a pair up by the end of the season.
That is not true. Like the only pair up that happens in the manga,
everybody else has a candidate.
Like no. Like it only happens with Ryoga. Like he's the only one who gets torn off from this nonsense and paired off with someone else, and it's not fucking Ukyo. Like that is not a thing that actually happens in the manga.
Yeah, but Ukyo meets that other crossdresser character, and Shampoo and Moose always were okay together.
That is like no. Like like Moose is a creepy stalker who never stops coming across as a creepy stalker. Like, but the big question when it comes to Ramna One Half is how they're going to have the Hakusai. Because the remake has already been updated to modern sensibilities. That is to say, the original Ramna One Half series had not a lot of nudity, but it had nudity. Like, you had quite a bit of female Ramna parading around topless,
showing off, essentially.
Yeah. Because of the mindset of Rama, does he believe in female modesty? Well, no, because he thinks of himself as a man and, doesn't ever think to cover up. That is a thing that gets adjusted but it's still a thing that happens to Ramna throughout the series. Like I said, that's already been cut in the modern remake because nudity you can't show on Japanese television anymore, even like late night. But once again, like it's Kaposai. If you don't know who he is the big albatross around this series. He is the
in a series that's mostly made up of bad people, he is literally the worst and also the one who taught most of the other bad people to be bad.
Sort of. He's the one who taught Genma and Son, like, who are Ramna's and Akane's fathers. Like, so that does not explain why shampoo is so awful, for example. Like, or the Kunos. Like,
okay, that's fair. The Kunos are a whole separate thing.
Yeah. The point.
The Amazon, the Amazons would be relatively fine if Genma hadn't, interfered with them, or rather, if they hadn't ended up interfering them because Genma can't read the entire 2-page brochure for a fucking.
Well, it's also their laws and traditions dictate a lot of their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about that. But Kaposai, he's kind of the ultimate form of Rumiko Takahashi's perverted character. Ataru, Miroku, he's that, but completely unrepentant. Which is why I've ironically never minded him. Like, yeah, he's awful. He's a harasser, thief, underwear thief, sexual assaulter, all of that stuff. But the thing is, he's never framed as a hero. He's never.
No,
framed
just way too many people are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt over and over again in terms of allowing him to continue to be around.
Once again, I'm not saying he's good or anything, but he's not like Moroku where he's framed as a hero, or Ataru where he's the main fucking character. He's the closest thing this series has to an arch villain. He's still problematic as fuck. So the other thing is he's probably not coming around until Core 2, Season 2, what have you. Like, he's not, he's a bit of the way into the series. So, to wit, he's not in the opening credits to this season. I'm like,
I mean, in the opening credits for this season, Akane has the hairstyle she has for all of 3 chapters.
That's my point. We're doing the opening arcs, so we're getting the introduction of Kuno. This week we're getting the introduction of Shampoo, compressed compared to the original series, because Kuno's episode, 2 episodes in the original series, 1 episode here. The point is, it's still going to take a while to get to him. Another big thing that's returning is Rurouni Kenshin, Kyoto Disturbance. Don't fucking watch this. The creator is a goddamn pedophile. That's all I got to say on that. It's like, look, and if you grew up with this series, fine. Like, you can eliminate the nostalgic feelings and what you went through it as a kid, fine. This is a new goddamn product. Do not support the creator of this work. I cannot emphasize this enough, because he is literally a convicted pedophile. He got caught with child porn. He was sentenced that was goddamn fucking suspended. You know, but because he has friends and influence, he was allowed back into the industry. That shouldn't have happened, but it did. Which is why we're getting a new telling of Rurouni Kenshin.
Too many people in the industry still like him, even though he is, well, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
One of those things.
So, fuck him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it just... It frustrates me to no end that, you know, he gets to persist. You know, I wish he'd gotten caught with cocaine. Because then his career would be fucking over.
I don't know. No. Even with that.
No.
It's going to have to be something harder.
From what I've seen, like, if you like drugs, that's the real shit when it comes to Japanese industries. Like, then you become just fucking radioactive.
Yeah.
But this? Nope.
Yeah, okay. Well,
literal slap on the wrist. Like, anyway, now that gotten that out of the system, the big shonen series that isn't a franchise yet, but is looking to become one, is Dandadan. I'm like, you may have heard of this one. You may have seen that one hyped up.
Yeah, it was really the first. I think it was the first 3 episodes were actually put in the theaters. So yeah, I know about it.
Yeah. It's also got a very infectious OP. Creepy Nuts needs to be stopped before they make another one. Because they made Mashill look watchable. I mean, Mashill isn't horrible, but it isn't that interesting. It isn't as interesting as the OP makes it out to be.
Honestly, if you want to watch something like Mashill, go watch Wand and Sword instead. It's much more watchable.
I'm like, as far as Dandadan goes, it's another supernatural kind of series. So, kind of in the vein of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Blue Exorcist.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to say, I'm trying to remember the series. Kind of forgetting. God, I'm trying to remember.
D. Grayman?
No, not D. Not that long ago.
Undead Unluck?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Undead Unluck. Yeah.
I'm like, but also adding aliens to the mix. So I've seen the first couple of episodes. It's not going to win any awards for originality, but it's more who's backing it, because it's being animated by Science Saru, who's one of the rising stars in the anime world. Keep your hands off the Izuken. They did trying to remember some of these. Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim takes off.
So and that's a big reason why the series looks as good as it does. Like, another series. Like, how do I define this? Sword Art Online cousin is coming back in Gun Gale Online Season 2, aka the good one.
Yeah, the one Reki Kawahara is not involved in because Reki Kawahara is a fucking hack.
Yeah.
Tell
It's
me
like-
I'm wrong.
No,
You're not. You're not. Nobody is gonna say that.
Let the king spit.
Yeah.
No. Like, yeah. I mean, Gun Gale Online isn't amazing.
No,
But
but
it-
when
you know-
you're dealing with, something watchable compared to something made for a 14-year-old power fantasy.
Right.
Yeah. And is the Patient Zero to our modern day Isekai Blight. Speaking of such things, RE0's long-awaited season 3 is here. I've never watched an episode of this, and I plan to
I've been
never
told
do that.
it's
Let's
decent,
start
but I
now.
don't have time to go catch up.
Well, yeah, like, every episode is like 45 minutes or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, speaking of inexplicable amount of seasons, Don Machi is getting a season 5.
Don Machi?
How the fuck? Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was my reaction.
I didn't even hear anything good about season 4. I figured it was gonna die there.
Well, it's a franchise, so we got to keep rolling.
I guess.
Well, it's not even the thing that's most inexplicably getting a sequel to a sequel, because Blue Exorcist is season 4 is hitting this season.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, technically that series ended before the manga did.
Yeah, it's one of
This
those
is another
ones-
case of one of those. We have to be completionist here. That's
Yeah.
what this is.
And like
Let's be
season
clear
2
about
was
this.
okay. Season 3 was meh.
Well, I just always find it eternally funny because Blue Exorcist season 1 was one of the last series I can think of that did the old way of
The
of
Gecko
how you did
ending.
it. Yeah, literally, like what you saw all over the place in in the 2000s.
There's not enough traction to keep pumping out filler till the manga is caught up.
Yeah, so let's just make up an ending.
Yeah. Still
And-
waiting for that fucking
Right.
remake of Soul Eater.
Hey,
I'm
who
like-
knows? You might get it in 2026. Who knows?
I mean, we got the latest season of Bleach: The 1,000-Year War.
It's
Like-
actually good.
I know. Like, I know it's just
There's been
Bleach
things
had to wait
circulating that they're going to be possibly redoing Bleach in the 1,000-Year Blood War art style. I am more than down if they do give it the Kai treatment as well, where they get rid of the filler.
Anyway, the other big Netflix anime this season is Blue Lock, I want to say.
Yeah, Blue Lock.
Yeah, because there's also Blue Box season 2 airing this season. Like that's the soccer anime. Blue Lock is the big romantic series
Yeah.
combined with sports. It's it's badminton combined with shoujo romance.
Mhm.
I've seen it. It's fine. It looks better than you'd expect a shonen romance thing to look. I'm like, Natsume's Book of Friends is back with season 7. That's another series I've not even remotely touched, but I hear good things about.
Mhm.
I'm like, new Gundam series is showing up.
There's a new Gundam series?
Is it a Gundam?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name. It's on Netflix.
Oh.
Oh, the fucking Revenge of whatever. Requiem
Yeah.
for Vengeance or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
something like that.
The Netflix one that's not.
Yeah, that looks pretty bad.
Oh, oh my god! I'm looking at the trailer on my phone.
Also, it's from a Xeon point of view, so, or at least largely, so like
Well, there you go.
added
Nope.
reasons to not particularly
Yeah,
care.
we don't fuck with space Nazis here.
I will
Yeah,
say
me
that
too.
the shoulder cannon and the new design for the beam saber rack on the Gundam are kind of neat, but otherwise, the mech designs are pretty.
The mech designs, the people look. Oh god, no.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
This was definitely not
Yeah.
Sunrise's A team on that one, and if it was, oh boy.
No.
I'm like, and we also have to address, speaking of such things, we also have to address Adult Swim's big anime series going on right now.
What, Uzumaki?
Oh, yeah, that's.
Uzumaki.
I've heard things about that.
Okay, well, Uzumaki episode 1 was really good. Episode 2 was really fucking bad.
Woohoo!
And the production schedule, I understand, is fucked.
To put it lightly.
It wasn't the production schedule. Like, given what's come out, apparently,
Yeah.
like someone up on the production chain fucked over the production. Like, Jason wasn't 100% forthcoming with the details, but he basically said they got fucked high up on the chain, but couldn't identify exactly who or why because of NDAs.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
Of
it is
course,
very possible with TV
I mean, it's
stuff
possible,
like
but it's like,
of course, the person who could have fucked that up, could have been Jason himself, but it's like the scuttlebutt is someone else. I forget his name, but he's also like he's apparently got a history of bad production choices and so on and so forth. I'd have to look up the details.
y'all chose the guy, so
I'm like,
it's like, it's like if someone has a history of bad productions work, it's like you shouldn't be surprised when it happens again. Like, it shouldn't be a surprise. Like, if you have a history, it's like, it won't work out. It won't do it this time. I mean, there's a lot more stakes in this.
I mean, the thing is, we probably will not know the full extent of what happened.
Of course not. No. Mm-hmm.
It is what is known is episode 2 was apparently pulled from like the studio and animated elsewhere, which is why it looks like utter dog shit. Now, episode 3 seemed to have come out fine. Not amazing, but I didn't hear the torrent of complaints this time around.
We're like, there's nowhere to go but up. After going to the bottom shelf.
I've seen some cost fallacies that could tell you different there.
It's still the best Junji Ito adaptation. And it tells you the state of Junji Ito adaptation.
Pretty much.
Because at the very least, episode 1 looks amazing.
I mean, man's art style is not easy to animate.
No, it isn't. Anyway, and finally, I guess back over to Netflix to mention, the rest of their lineup. Tomb Raider Lara Croft. I'm not sure if this is counting as an anime or not. Like, it's always a bit dicey when Like, I think Netflix is identifying this as Western,
Yeah.
but sometimes their Western series get labeled as anime, like,
Yeah.
and
What
vice
era
versa.
of Laura Croft is this supposed to be?
Well, I mentioned this not too long ago. It's supposed to be the bridge from reboot Laura to modern Laura.
Mhm.
All right.
And having watched the series, you could like, you can get a lot of that, because in the beginning of the series, like, we certainly get reboot Laura. I'm like, that is to say, do you like Lara Croft as brooding as Batman? Well, I mean, you got her here.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's kind of the character development through the season. She goes from brooding and being a jerk to everyone to being a lot more, friendly and still kind of a jerk. Because
Yeah.
honestly, the thing is, Lara Croft has never not been kind of a jerk.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, will this get a season 2? Probably. Usually when it comes to these things these days, there's like 2 seasons, even though like it's probably like a season of 20 episodes that they divvied up and they're just calling a season 2. For the purposes of avoiding residuals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but the big Netflix series is Arcane season 2.
Mhm.
I'm like, which, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually looking forward to. I mean,
Mhm.
I think the best commentary I ever heard on Arcane season 1 is, it's so good it almost tricks you into thinking that League of Legends is worth playing.
Spoilers, it certainly is not.
No,
Unless you like
no,
racial slurs every 5 to 10 minutes.
yeah, don't, yeah, do not actually play League of Legends.
Mm.
I'm like, and it is going to be doing the release schedule it did for season 1. That is to say, kind of in between weekly and all at once, because it's going to be 3 episodes throughout, dropping each week throughout November. I'm like, which is apparently going to be one part of an arc.
Mhm.
Like, it's what the original series did as well. It's still notable for being an unusual bit of release from a Netflix produced series.
Mhm.
Speaking of which, thankfully Netflix has relented on insisting that all of the series that they pick up do the binge model.
Mhm.
Like Ramna One Half is being listed as a Netflix series, but it's doing the weekly thing. Last season we had Delicious in a Dungeon.
Yeah.
That was weekly. Blue Lock is weekly. I really do think the utter bombing of Stone Ocean changed the way Netflix handles anime.
Right. Yeah.
Because you know because that was the last major anime I can think of where they made it stick to this model of,
Mhm.
we got to gather up all the episodes and we got to release them all at once, or, in a batch of episodes.
Well, they're still doing that with Pokemon, unfortunately.
I'm like, but Pokemon is also a thing distinctly aimed at children.
Fair.
Like Pokemon also doesn't have a sub option. Is still edited for Western content, et cetera, et cetera. Like, children aren't going to know about this being released weekly. At least over here. So it's almost in another category.
Yeah.
Compared to like not actual anime, but anime that is aimed for an older audience. I know Pokemon is technically a shonen program, but the thing is, the shonen genre, the shonen demographic is so broad. Like, it's literally like 6 to 17 or something like that. Anyway, we should probably migrate over to actual entertainment points. I'm like,
All right. Well, let's do it now because I'm fading and we're over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Or okay.
Well, ironically enough, we have to start with more anime news. And Kevin, maybe you can help me understand why this happened.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Toho Animation has picked up G Kids.
Yeah.
If you don't know who G Kids is, they're the distributor of Studio Ghibli's films.
I was
For
about
example.
to say, didn't Disney own them at one point?
They haven't held the distribution rights to Studio Ghibli films in a good long while.
Yeah.
I think G Kids had it for about 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, apparently this is cutting out the middleman, because I think
basically.
Because
Toho, they're a big Japanese film studio in Japan, and they put out a lot of the anime movies over there, like the My Hero movies, the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, the Zero that came out a couple years ago, so on and so forth. They released.
They're like Japan's Disney almost in that like theatrical animation.
Pretty much. They're also a normal. They also release normal movies too. They're a big film studio over there. But when they release movies
and Godzilla
over here, Godzilla. That's right. But when they release movies over here, they always go through your Crunchyroll, your Viz, so on and so forth. And Toho's decided that they've had enough of that. So they started up Toho International to basically release the movies themselves, and now they are acquiring G Kids, which, because of their work with the Ghibli films, they have a lot more in terms of direct contact with exhibitors. So basically with this, Toho is going to be able to release whatever they want to directly to the American market, to other markets as well, without having to go through a G Kids, without having to go through a Sony Crunchyroll, without having to go through these things.
I just hope
Ironically, it started with
we get better movie distribution.
Well, if you think about it, this would definitely help with that, because if you remember, they basically did that with Godzilla -1. Toho released that directly. So they basically now have their foot in the door. This basically gets them a bigger foot in the door.
Because the problem I've had with anime movies now is that they only get special screenings like late on a weekday, and it's like, at select theaters around the nation, it's like, bro, I'm not going to drive 2 hours for an hour 30-minute movie.
Yeah, those days are basically over at this point.
That's good.
Especially with this. Because, the recent My Hero movie, You're Next, that's also was directly released by Toho, and it's pretty much everywhere. My theater has it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much a good portion of the theaters have it. Some have only the sub version, which is kind of questionable. But for the
I
most
don't
part,
like subs in theaters. I
right,
never
right,
have.
right. But yeah, for the most part, this probably ups the ante in terms of Toho in the
Yeah.
American market.
And
So
hopefully it pushes the other, like Crunchyroll,
yeah,
to if they push out stuff to theaters, give us a better run than just a
yeah.
weeknight once, and then guess you have to wait till we
Funny,
release it on their platform.
yeah, yeah. Funny thing is, I don't know what they're gonna release now because My Hero is technically a Crunchyroll property, and
Mm,
the movie was released by Toho.
right.
So yeah, so Toho is clearly trying to grow in the American market.
And I am all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember
They
the
clearly want
both
to. Yeah,
the
they clearly want to
Digimon movie,
grow.
we got shafted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's clearly a case of cutting out the middleman to grow and to basically take advantage of the fact that Japanese movies and anime movies are hot tickets.
Mm.
Of course, the most recent My Hero movie is probably a little bit stale, but
Well, I mean,
but
that's My Hero Academia is also almost at the end of its run.
right, it's close to the end of its life. So,
Yeah.
but
They
one
maybe
of the
can
point,
squeeze 1 or 2 more seasons out of it, and then
One more season.
mm,
one
Like
more season because they announced the
literally,
last final season. Yeah,
yeah,
I guess asterisk unless they make more.
they won't.
yeah,
They won't.
like
I don't think they're not going to do it. They're not going to do an Attack on Titan here.
yeah,
It's
like
I mean more. They revisit My Hero Academia, like the writer does more with the
No,
franchise.
maybe
well,
we'll
here's the
see.
thing:
We'll see.
the manga's already wrapped up.
Yeah, the
Right.
manga's over for now, but it's like, who's to say it ever
I don't
doesn't
know.
come back again? You know,
Yeah, it would be
Who's
with
to say
other
they don't do
people.
another spin-off of some sort?
They could do a spin-off series.
It would be with other. It would probably be with another writer, another
Yeah,
group of
Deku's
people.
done.
Yeah.
He like well, I can't really
Let's
get
not go into
into
the
it.
spoilers now, just because it's still fresh.
No. No. What we could say is that I don't think Deku might be done unless because somebody else might pick him up. You know, think of it like 100-year quest style.
hmm
That would
That's
be the model.
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, 100-year quest Boruto style,
Yeah, because the
essentially.
very end showed Deku's not done. They could still do more with him if they wanted.
Yeah, there's more they
Anyway,
could for. Anyway.
yeah. Um, FTC finalizes its new click to cancel rule, making it easier to cancel subscriptions.
Good.
Hopefully
And
it sticks.
well, first things first. If you needed another reason to have this election going to the Democrats' favor, here you go.
hmm
The
Yeah,
FTC,
well,
the FTC is finalizing a rule they're calling click to cancel, which says
mhm,
online subscriptions should require the same amount of clicks to end as they do to sign up.
hmm
An in-person sign up should have the option to cancel online or over the phone. So
mhm.
now, um, and um, it's going to be a lot easier to cancel things.
Yeah. I can't
Mhm.
see anyone who'd be against this unless they work for any of the companies that fucking profit off this shit.
Mhm.
Right. So depending on how broad this thing is, say goodbye to the entire gymnasium industry.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Gyms, Adobe's not going to be happy about this.
right. Still, it's a net, it's a net gain for consumers. So, I would not be surprised to see a class action lawsuit from the companies about this.
Yep. Yep, and they'll send it to a friendly judge.
Or a friendly Supreme Court.
Well, first to a friendly judge and then to a friendly Supreme Court. Yeah.
And this is why we need to take both houses of the Senate. Well, both houses of the
Congress.
Yes, Congress. Yes, thank you. And then we can just make this law, and then they can go fuck off. Am I wrong?
No.
Anyway,
anyhow.
And in order to wrap up the entertainment news this week, from the Dear God Why pile.
Oh boy.
Viewmaster movie in the works from Mattel, Escape Artists, and Sony.
The weird binocular film strip thing?
Yeah.
Because
all I have to say is when it comes to this, because we're getting a lot of this shit now, it's the case of we got to stop going, why are we getting this? We have to start going, okay, what do you have? Because at this point, the train has left the station.
Well, that's more what I'm getting at. It's not so much you've chosen a toy to adapt. It's what are you adapting? What do you like? One of the stories in the Viewmaster, you do know that those are really simple in order to be projected on a screen.
I had a Ninja Turtle one.
Yeah. It's like, is this a movie for preschoolers? Otherwise, why?
I mean, you could swing the whole thing as being a fucking like VR alternate universe fucking thing.
Or are you trying to bring back 3D again?
But that was the gimmick of them, is that they were kind of 3D-ish.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
look, at this point, it's just a case of, okay, you're gonna do this. What do you got?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do here? Like, because if you do something interesting, okay, we'll give you a shot. I mean,
otherwise you're the Battleship movie.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. Yes. Like, if you bring something interesting and unique to the table, Barbie over here, we'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're like Battleship, you'll get sunk.
Indeed. And on that note, I think we're done with everything this week.
Hooray!
Yeah, we can knock it out here.
All right, what's the plan for next week?
So next week is our 2-part season finale. I guess that's a good way of putting it. Because on October 23rd, episode 22, we'll be having David Mathis of Random Stranger on the program. That is a YouTube program which lately has done the Fama Daily Show, which is a day-by-day progression of the entire library of the family computer. Like all 141 Famicom games documented, and currently working on the Year of the Famicom Disk System. Every Famicom Disk System game. And on Friday, October 25th, our actual season finale, The Friday Show. We'll be welcoming Peter Hart, the comic creator from Ireland. So, we'll see how that goes. The grand MSP Friday experiment.
Yes.
So, and then we're off until December.
Woo.
Whee!
Yeah.
All All right. Well, I guess that's it for this week's installment of Moonhawk Studios Presents. Join us again next week for our 2-part season finale. Until then, I'm your host, Mac Paladin. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.